Today's session is called Liberating Assumptions. So today's goal is simple. I want to start to change how you think about relationships. And I've done that with just these liberating assumptions, just different ways of thinking about relationships. So let's start with number one. All behavior is purposeful. It seeks to obtain some goal. I spent the first 15 years of my life working in the criminal justice system as a teacher in a prison and as a juvenile probation officer, and then in the mental health system as a clinical director of a mental health center and then executive director of a mental health center. Now, what's great about working in those two places is those are the two places where we put the people who we think are crazy. We put them in the criminal justice system and we put them in the mental health system. I'm so grateful for those 15 years of experience because the one thing, the most powerful thing I learned during that 15 years is what's on your paper here. There's no such thing as crazy behavior. Everybody's doing the best they know how to get what they need at any point in time. Each behavior has a positive intention for you. Now, have you ever noticed that sometimes you do behaviors that you later regret? Like you kind of go, oh man, that wasn't too bright. That's not going to get me what I really want, but you didn't realize it till after you did it, right? And so, but then if you really think through that behavior, you'll know that in some weird way or another, that behavior was trying to take care of you in some way. It was trying to get for you something at that point in time you thought you needed. It might not have been the best choice. Once you increase your awareness, you realize you could have made different choices. Well, let's look at this another way to try to understand that there's no such thing as crazy behavior. Now, this is what most people pretend.
Just clicks down.
Oh, it clicked. Oh, you got these new fancy dancy ones.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see we're upgrading. Okay. Okay. Most people pretend that 90% of why people behave the way they do is because of the situation. And 10% is other factors. This is the way the average human mind works. If you let your mind work this way, this is what has to happen. If you walk into a situation and other people are responding to that situation differently than the way you're responding to it, you have to wonder, what in the heck is the matter with them? Don't you? Because you see, we're responding to the same situation. Shouldn't they be responding to it intelligently like I always do? Right? You never question your original assumption, which could be faulty. In human relationships, it's much more effective because it increases your choice to think about this in the opposite way. And that is, 90% of why people behave the way they do has nothing to do with the situation. What it's got to do with is their life story. And only 10% is the situation. Now watch what happens if we play this out. If you walk into a situation and you're thinking this way, guess what? You do not expect any other person to ever respond to any situation the way that you would respond to it. Why? Because they have a different life story. How much do you know about the life story of anybody else in this room? I'm going to say out of their entire life story, you're lucky if, even if you know somebody here and they're a good friend of yours, you might know 1%, maybe 2%. That's about it. So why would you have an expectation that they ought to respond in a certain way? You see, expectations really screw up your ability to have choice in relationship. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you are in a relationship that you care about. And if you're not right now, that's okay, just make it up. All right? But you have been absent from this person that you're in this relationship with for about 2 weeks. You haven't seen them, they've been off somewhere, you've been off somewhere, whatever. But now you're in the car and you're driving home and you're about a half hour from getting home. And isn't it true that you've already started to imagine what the greeting will be like? Right? What they're going to say when you walk in the door, what they're going to do, right? How they're going to greet you, whatever, okay? Now, that's called an expectation. There's only one problem. All right? You see, you've already in your own mind started to create a whole videotape about how this is going to play out as soon as you walk in the front door. The only problem is you didn't send the videotape ahead so they could learn what their role is supposed to be. And then when you walk through the front door, the chances are very, very slim that they're going to play the role right. So you walk in with an expectation, and I don't know, maybe they don't even acknowledge you because they're busy doing something. They haven't seen you in 2 weeks, they don't acknowledge you? That's not in the videotape. So now where are you? You see, you expected that, you see, we do two things. We expect that people either ought to respond to a situation the way we would respond to it. So then you think through in your head, how would I respond if I haven't seen somebody I cared about for 2 weeks? I would respond like this, so they ought to respond like this. Isn't that what your assumption is? That's a problem. Because they might have a totally different idea about how you respond after you haven't seen somebody for 2 weeks. Right? And then it's... Now, what happens when you have an expectation of certain kinds of things happening and they don't happen in a relationship and you miss? Okay, now what happens next? There's a little confusion, there's a little disappointment, there's a little frustration, there's a little hurt, isn't there? And now do you start getting weird? When you're feeling all those things, do you start to act a little weird in some ways? And then when you start acting a little weird, what does the other person do? Oh, they start acting a little weird too, and then you got two people acting a little weird, and now we each get a little weirder in response to the other person's weirdness. Do you see where this is going? And what's the mistake? You started with this thought that everybody should respond to a situation the way that I respond to it, right? Not knowing that we have different life stories. Now, let's make this even more clear. We have scientifically learned how to make people invisible. I'm making this up, but it's going to be a heck of a reality TV show, okay? So I'm going to take Dave and make him invisible. Poof. And I'm going to give him a job. And Dave's job is to follow Don Baughman around. I won't know you're there because I can't see you. And you follow me around and watch me very, very carefully until I do something that looks crazy to you. It shouldn't take very long, all right? And as soon as I do that thing that looks crazy to you, you jump out of invisibility and you confront me and you say, hey, Don, why did you do that? Can't you see that that's never going to get you what you really want? And then I'm going to turn to you, Dave, and I'm going to say, Dave, the reason that my behavior looks crazy to you is because you do not understand what it's like to be Don Baughman at this moment in time. If you want to understand what it's like to be Don Baughman at this moment in time, you're going to have to let me tell you my entire life story. How much time do you have? Right? And the trouble is, even if I wanted to tell you my entire life story, I couldn't. Because I don't remember most of it. I don't know about you. And some of the things that are deeply ingrained in my behavior happened when I was very, very young. I don't even remember them happening, and I'm still doing the behavior. This is true of you too. I don't know if you know that. Right? So even if I really wanted to tell you the life story, I couldn't. So what I'm saying is, if you want relationships to be effective, you have to get rid of the assumption that people will respond to situations the way you respond to them. If you come into a situation never expecting anybody to respond to a situation the way you do, you have a much better chance of being open. You see, because what happens if I expect you to respond a certain way and you don't? Where does your brain go next? It goes to two words that are the two most destructive words in relationship. It goes to judgment and it goes to blame, doesn't it? See, now I'm angry. I'm going to blame you for not responding the way you're supposed to be responding. I'm going to judge you because the way you're responding is not the correct way to respond. Didn't anybody teach you the correct way to respond? Well, thank God you got me. I'm about to teach you. Do any of you like it when somebody tries to teach you how you should be responding instead of the way you're responding? No, you don't like it. Why? Because they are telling you accidentally right now that you are not okay the way you are. And whenever you try to tell somebody that directly or indirectly, you are going to get resistance, right? And now you have just made the situation worse. Okay, so that's the 90%, 10% principle. Did that make any sense? That's when you change the way you think about things, the things you think about change, right? That's one way to think about relationships different. Been very helpful to me. Now, I have to tell you, it's not that easy to change your brain. It can be done. But I still go into situations, especially with the people that I spend the most time with in my life. I still go into it with expectations. I think, well, they should be happy about this because I'm happy about this. And actually, they could care less about this. See, I have an expectation. Then they don't respond the way I do. Now I could get weird unless I can remember this and say, oh, no, I shouldn't have any expectation that they should be responding the way that I want them to respond or the way that I'm responding. I should be open to them responding in any way they feel is right because they have a different life story. And then later on, we're going to find not only do they have a different life story, their brain is wired different than your brain. We'll look at that when we get to psychological type. Okay, now let's look at this in a couple other ways. People are in different places. Do you think everybody comes into work on Monday morning in the same place? No, a lot depends on what happened during your weekend, doesn't it? I mean, on certain Monday mornings, you probably are coming in and you're in a pretty good mood and you're really here and you're ready to get going. But I'm guessing that you might have had some weekends that didn't go so good and you come in Monday morning in a different place. And so again, another thing to remember is when you or someone else is being difficult, remember the acronym HALT. This comes from 12-step programs. People often act badly or get out of control when they are hurt, angry, lonely, or tired. Just because you're not hurt, angry, lonely, or tired doesn't mean there aren't some people out there in the workplace who are, and they're going to be behaving because of that, not because of the situation or because of anything that you do. Another way to make this clear is, well, let me try to give you another way to think about when people violate your expectations in a way that appears to you to be mean, nasty, and hurtful. So let me ask you a question. Is there anybody here who has never had the experience of somebody doing something to you that you considered mean, nasty, or hurtful? And, I'm assuming everybody has had that experience. But then let's take it back on ourselves. Is there anybody in this room who can honestly say that you have never done a mean, nasty, hurtful thing to another human being? Because if there's such a person here, we do like to send your name into the Vatican for sainthood. And I've never had to do that yet. Okay? So we've all done mean, nasty, hurtful things to other people. Now, what I want to know, if you could go back in your own life story to a time and a place, you don't have to share this, so just go where this takes you. When you can recall having done a mean, nasty, hurtful thing to another person. And what I want to know is, what was going on with you when you did that? And I secretly think I know. I'm thinking, because this is what is going on with me when I accidentally or on purpose do a mean, nasty, hurtful thing to somebody else. And that is, I'm not in a good place myself. I'm hurting in some way. Mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally, some way or another I'm hurting, and that's when I'm high risk of inflicting a mean, nasty, hurtful thing on somebody else. Isn't that true of you? Okay, so now if we know that that's true of ourselves, then what should be our response when somebody does a mean, nasty, hurtful thing to us?
Acknowledge that they may be hurt also.
Great. And so now you could get curious about what the pain is they're experiencing, right? Instead of where your mind would normally go, which is at judging and blaming them for the behavior they just did. Do you see how thinking about it this way gives you a totally opposite response? And it's going to take the relationship in a totally different direction. So the way I try to remember this for myself is just 2 words repeated twice. That is, hurt people hurt people. Now, I'm hoping that you walk out of here today and somebody does a mean, nasty, hurtful thing to you. And the only reason I'm hoping that is so that you have a chance to try this and say, oh my goodness, that was pretty mean, nasty, and hurtful. I don't deserve that. Oh, but wait a second. They couldn't have done that unless they were hurting. Oh, I'm curious now. I wonder what their pain is. Now, you may never find out what their pain is, but just the fact that you know that they had to be in pain or they couldn't have done it gives you the ability to respond to their behavior in a totally different way, doesn't it? And so now you become more powerful.